I'm sorry that the camera is not focusing. Jesus. Focus. Hey, it's Mel. Today I'm filming a video that is not easy to film, for starters. I hope that you can hear me well enough. I am sat on the floor currently, which is why the background's different. This video is about my diagnosis with skeletal dysplasia. I know, it's a mouthful. Okay, I'll say it again. It's skeletal dysplasia, and it affects not just one part of my body, but all of my body, and it's not been easy for me to sit down and film for this. I don't even know if I'm going to post this video, to be honest, because I've done that before. I've been planning to make this video for about a year now. Yeah, that's long, I know. And there have been around 4 occasions where I've got ready, sat down, pressed record on my camera, and then I would just end up deleting the footage I recorded because I don't know, I don't want to come off as some dramatic, over-the-top woman. That's not really how I'm trying to come off. I'm mainly doing this video just so I can get stuff off my chest. It's not easy for me to talk about my emotions, about my feelings. I've never been that emotional girl. Sure, I'm dramatic, I'll say that, but I'm not trying to come off that way in this video. So before I continue to talk about my diagnosis, I'm going to give you a timeline of everything that happened, right from birth to current day, and how I deal with it. I'm going to say this once. For anyone watching this video who assumes or thinks that I'm doing this for the attention, sympathy card, views, take your negative attitude and just go away. It's difficult to talk about. So you hear my voice breaking, or I'm just looking away from the camera, or I pause for a few moments, let me live, okay? That's a normal reaction because I'm sharing with you personal stuff from my life. So for starters, I'm going to talk about when I was born. So I was born in September 1999 along with my brother, who's a twin. Now, to be all technical, my brother was the firstborn. I was the second-born. When I was born with a high uvula, that thing at the back of your throat. I, to this day, cannot sleep facing the ceiling. I don't know who does anyway. I normally sleep on my side or a stomach, mainly a stomach sleeper. When I was born, I was immediately rushed to a room down from the corridor from my mum's room where she had given birth. Now, she got a chance to hold my brother, but she never got a chance to hold me. And I was not breathing. I was dead. My dad looked at my mum to say, you know, it's okay. We've got one baby. Like, at least we've got one baby. That was the positive of the situation. However, since I was not breathing, I was rushed down the corridor into a room on the side. In this room was a metal table. I was placed on the metal table. I'm a little premature baby. Both me and my brother were born premature. So I'm not breathing. The doctors, I say there was around, 5 or 6 doctors around the table I was on. They were giving me CPR, like trying to resuscitate me, bring me back to life, and out of nowhere they did, and I started crying. If anyone's wondering how I got this information, I asked my mum about it and she just told me what happened. Once I started breathing and I was cleaned and taken care of by the doctors, my dad came to hold me. He brought me to my mum and my mum held me and I was born. So right away my birth was just kind of traumatic at the beginning. So once I was born, me and my brother went on to live life. Everything was fine until the ages when you learn to walk as a baby, meaning 1 or 2 years old. And once I began to walk, my nana on my dad's side of the family, she noticed that something was going on. I was walking weird. At first, my mum and dad assumed, she's a kid, maybe she saw it off her TV or a cartoon or something. By the way, before I continue to talk, please don't judge my parents or the decisions they made, because they didn't know that I was disabled. No parent plans to be single, no parent plans to have a child with autism or a learning difficulty or disability. Shit happens in life, okay? So please don't judge the decisions my parents made. So my nana was the first one to notice that something was wrong, and my mum and dad knew. They were like, something's wrong, but we don't know what. As I began to grow older, my disability got worse, and at this point, no one knows it's a disability, we don't know what's going on. At age 3, I began having seizures, meaning I was twitching, I was frothing at the mouth, my eyes were rolling to the back of my head, and it looked like symptoms of epilepsy. I'm not gonna lie, there have been really bad memories of me, going into having epileptic fits, and there was even one New Year's Eve where my mum and dad had celebrated New Year's Eve watching the fireworks from a hospital room because I had had an epileptic fit. That's how they spent their New Year's Eve, looking after me, which that's a shitty way to start New Year's Eve. I'd already been having seizures, but it wasn't fully diagnosed I had epilepsy until the age of 3, and my mum, for a long period of time, I don't know why, but my mum felt guilt for having a daughter that has epilepsy because my mum has epilepsy and she passed it on to me genetically, unknowingly, obviously. And she felt guilt for a while because she had seen me going to seizures, and even during primary school, I have epileptic fits in school. During the night and the morning, I would have to take these thousands of little pills. They were white, about the size of Million sweets, if you've seen them before. They were really small, and if I didn't take these twice a day, I would have a high risk of becoming what is known as being a vegetable or brain dead, vegetable state. I hate using that term, but I don't know how else to describe it, so I didn't really have much of a choice. Now, when I took this medication, it had a slew of side effects. Dizziness, tiredness, a huge one was memory loss. Everything I had learned, the next day would just forget it. So, it was really difficult during that time. My epilepsy went away when I turned 15, luckily. Now, on top of me being diagnosed with epilepsy at age 3, the disability that I had kept getting worse. And I remember one day coming home from primary school and my dad had put down like this black duct tape on the floor. And he said to me, I want you to walk on this line, try and put one foot in front of the other. And I kind of looked at him like, I can't do that, what's the point of this? But my mum and dad had been doing a lot of research and they kind of got a guess as to what was going on, but they wanted confirmation. So I understand now looking back on it, and I don't judge them for that. So he put the tape down, I tried walking on it. It was not happening, okay? I could not put one foot in front of the other. Before I continued to go on with my diagnosis of the disability, which happened when I was 10, ending primary school, and almost 11, starting high school. Before I go on to tell you about that, I'm going to tell you about my disability in general. So with the disability, it is visible, it's quite visible. Like, you can spot me out of a crowd with it. There is a gap from my knees to my feet, which shouldn't be there, but because I have what is known as skeletal dysplasia, I'm also in the category of dwarfism because my disability also affects my height. Now, with the disability, not only is there a gap from my knees to my feet, my balance is off. On the right side of my foot, I am flat-footed. Not to mention that my spinal column is also affected. A normal person's column is straight, okay, posture and everything. I have like a hunchback of Notre Dame, basically. My back is hunched over naturally because of it connecting to my hips, and my hips are the main problem here. What I'm going to talk to you about, it is one of my fears, for damn good reason too. A normal person walks forward, one foot in front of the other. I don't. I was born with this disability and I cannot put one foot in front of the other. I put one foot in front of the other, so I kind of waddle, and it is visible. I do get a lot of people staring at me, which is rude, but if it's a child, I'm not really going to question them because children are innocent and they don't understand, they're just curious. But if I get stared at for an abnormal amount of time, I am going to turn and say to that person, do you mind? Do you want to take a picture? Because don't stare at me. If you look at an x-ray of a person's hip, they have the hip structure, the bone structure, and your hip joints are basically circular bones that look like this, much like your spinal column, and then you have your leg bone that attaches to the hip bone, which allows you to move and walk. Now, what's scary is that I've not been to the hospital in years. From birth to high school, halfway through high school I should say, I was seeing doctors and going to hospital 24/7, maybe 4 times a week. Doctors were interested in me. So a normal person's hip bone looks like this. Mine, last time I looked at an x-ray of it, looks like this. Half of my bone has just fucking vanished. It's worn away. As I walk, imagine my leg bone, okay? My hip bone. Every time I walk, that is rubbing against my hip bone, and it is causing it over the years to have gone from this shape to this shape. Half of it does not exist, and that goes for both sides of my hip bones. It is very scary, but there is likely going to be a day. It could be next week, it could be next month, it could be in 4 years. But there is going to be a day where my hips have had enough and they will break and I will drop to the floor. I will be rushed into surgery and I will be giving 2 surgeries on my left and right hip, and I would have to learn how to walk as like a baby would, because once again I was born with this. I don't know how to walk like you would. There are going to be ups and downs with the surgery, like the pain, for example, me having to get used to a new life. It's not an easy choice to make, and I don't have to make it anytime soon. So now that I've explained a bit of my disability, not to mention one hip is higher than the other, which is why my balance is off. It's not until I reached the age of 10 when I was diagnosed with it, the skeletal dysplasia. Doctors reckon it's a new type, and after what I've just told you of potentially my hips giving out and me dropping and needing immediate surgery, I've been told by a lot of doctors who have done x-rays on me that they are amazed as to how I'm still standing, able to walk. How I've come this far, they don't know. Like I've explained with my hip joints and my leg bones, there's not much holding me up. Remember, now a person's hip bone looks like that. Mine's like that. There's barely anything holding me up. Now I'm going to talk about my diagnosis, which is probably the worst part of it. So I've been seen by a lot of doctors throughout the years, and I was diagnosed with my disability at the Manchester Children's Hospital. Now when I got there, I remember I had a Game Boy with me, okay? I remember I was 10, almost 11. I'm leaving primary school at this point. I had a Game Boy with me and it had Hello Kitty stickers on it. It was the shit. If you don't know what I'm talking about, here's a picture. It was amazing. It's like a older version of a Nintendo DS. I was playing on that and I wasn't really listening to the doctor, because once again I still have severe learning difficulties, and they're not as bad as now as they were then, but it still takes me an abnormal amount of time to give an answer to a question or to figure out maths. That is just my worst subject ever, maths. I never passed maths, and I'm not surprised, to be honest. It was me, my mum and my dad. My twin brother at the time, he was being looked after by my nana, and I remember going into the hospital and I was sat there, it's me, then I'm sat next to my dad, and there's my mum. Now, I knew that this appointment was about me, but I wasn't. Again, I'm 10, I'm almost 11, I'm not really paying attention to what the doctor's saying. He's speaking doctor language, which I know nothing about. So my mum and dad are listening to what the doctor's saying, and out of nowhere, my Game Boy dies. I'm like, God damn it! Like, I remember I just shut it and just put it in my bag, like, God damn it, because I was so angry. I remember this happened on a weekend because I was in normal clothes and I had one thing. Even if in the future I have dementia, one thing that's never going to leave my mind is the memory of seeing my mum crying. And I mean like soul crushing, quiet crying. I knew that this appointment was about me. I see my mum and I just, out of nowhere, she just starts bawling her eyes out. But remember, my dad sat next to me, so I'm looking across, just looking at my mum like what is going on? The words skeletal dysplasia, that was the first time at age 10 that I even heard of that word, and I remember thinking, what does that mean? 10, I was diagnosed with a new type of skeletal dysplasia. That's what the doctors reckon anyway. I just remember seeing my mum like silently crying her fucking eye. She's bawling her eyes out, my mum. She just starts crying and my dad's like putting his hand over her shoulder, like trying to comfort her. And I just remember looking at my mum and dad like, what is going on? The second I see my mum crying, I just start panicking. It turns out that my mum had been crying because the doctor said, like, your daughter's got skeletal dysplasia. No cure for it unless she has surgery. That's a lot for a parent to take in, not to mention I've been diagnosed with epilepsy at age 3. My mum and dad are holding hands, they're talking to the doctor. Say we was in the room for about 20 minutes. My mum and my dad got up, left the room with me. My dad held my hand and we went to the car, which was parked at the front of the hospital. I got in the car and the whole way home, silence, not a sound, no one's talking. I'm sat in the middle seat at the back of the car, and my mum and my dad are holding hands, and my mum's got her head like pressed up against the window like this. And teaches you how to be a parent, and at this point my mum and my dad were probably thinking like, what are the next steps? What are we meant to do? Because again, no one plans to have a child who has a disability or a health condition. No one plans that. To this day, I don't know where this came from. No one in my family has it. None of my relatives have it. None of my siblings do, so I don't understand where it came from. As soon as we got home, My mum walked upstairs still crying, shut her bedroom door, and my dad gave me a glass of water and he said, go sit down, watch TV, watch some cartoons. I sat down, watched TV, my mum and my dad upstairs. My mum's still probably crying her eyes out. I'm still confused. Bear in mind I've got severe learning difficulties still, so I would need things explaining in a way I could understand. I'm a visual learner, and it's very difficult for me to understand what you're saying at first, at that point anyway. I would need things explaining very slowly and I'd need them to be repeated. After I was diagnosed that day, my mum cried for a total of 3 days, which that stuck with me because my mum, she doesn't cry like at all. It's very difficult to even shake me to the point of tears, let alone anyone in my family. My dad came downstairs and I said, can I go see mum now? And he says, yeah. I opened my mum and dad's door. I see my mum on the bed. She's got an inhaler on the table beside her because she's got asthma as well. I don't have asthma. She is on the bed. She's crying. She's got tissues next to her. She's trying to maintain herself. And I sit beside her and she simply says to me, you are forever going to walk different. You're special. And I hate that word, but I just took it as it is in that moment. First hearing that, again, it didn't really click, like I didn't understand. I wasn't seeing what everyone else was seeing, based on how I was walking. After my mum told me that I walked weird, I kind of just pushed it aside, like, okay, I'm unique. I'm gonna have to figure this out. Once I started high school, I was 11, just about to be 12, okay? I didn't get as severely bullied as I did in high school. There were people who would comment now and then saying freak or look at her, and they'd whisper, which by the way, some people in my high school were not good at whispering. Like, I can hear you across the field. If you got something to say, come and talk to me about it. I'd rather people speak to me about my disability if they have any questions rather than just stare at me. My legs, as I grew older, began to get stiff. Now I have to do like physiotherapy stretches. Basically, I can't just, like a normal human being, get out of bed and just call it a day. If I don't do these specific exercises, later on in the day I will pay for it and be in agony. It's kind of like a wake-up call for my bones. I have to stretch. During winter times, my bones can seize up and it can be very difficult for me. I didn't start developing an attitude until I'd say like halfway through year 9. I just got sick of everyone's crap. I would constantly get like, I wouldn't say tormented, just like people would say some stuff like take the piss out of my height, which if you do that, I'm going to ram your ankles in with my wheelchair. That was the attitude I had back then. So as the years progressed, my disability sadly got worse. I couldn't do normal things like go on a hike or do trampolining or wear high heels. The doctor specifically warned me about those two. Going on a trampoline would cause you pain the following day. Not to mention that wearing high heels means that your spinal column will be straight. High heels give you a form of posture in a way. But because my back is deformed in a way, I've got a lump on this side of my back also, which means that if I wear high heels, I am going to be in a bit of pain. But you know what? I can deal with it, okay? I say I had a nervous breakdown at age 14, I fully mean it. I had a full-blown nervous breakdown at home, right after school, and I remember, because my mum, I was having a bad day, teenagers are just irate. I was having a bad day and my mum said to me, everything's gonna be fine, don't worry. And out of nowhere, I screamed at my mum, okay? I screamed at my mum and I said, I don't want everything to be fine. In that tone of voice, I don't want everything to be fine. I think that's just what I was trying to get at. I don't want my life to be fucking crystal clear. I don't want everything to be perfect, because then what's the point of life, If you don't take risks and you don't take up a new hobby or do anything, what is actually the point? It's like making mistakes. I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, but do I regret making them? No, because if I didn't make them, how would I learn how to fix them? That's the way I see it anyway. A lot of my friends have asked me, with what I've been through, like, how are you so positive? Honestly, I could sit here and just talk shit about the amount of people who have bullied me. I could sit here and tell you how much I hate them, but where is that going to get me? Sorry if this is like a huge cheese fest. I don't know how else to say it or put it in words. There are some people that I dislike and I hope that I've changed. I do believe in giving people a second chance, which I'm very grateful for having people that are really supportive and understanding around me. I see it. I can delay my surgery. I'm doing okay right now with my disability and how I walk. I'm used to it, you know. It's not my first time. I've gone down this road. I know how it goes. That is my decision. I am delaying my surgery until there becomes a day where I can't do it anymore. In terms of medication, since I don't have epilepsy anymore, again, that went away when I was 15. I do have paracetamol or ibuprofen. I don't take the painkillers unless it's absolutely necessary. Doctors have warned me, don't go on trampolines, don't wear high heel shoes. Well, guess what? I don't care, okay? I have a trampoline in my back garden. My 3-year-old brother loves to go on it, and I go on it with him. Sure, I'm in excruciating agony the next day, but life's short to say no. Sure, my balance is off. Sure, I might fall on my face. But do I look amazing wearing high heels? Yes, that is the reason I wear them, okay? I was told at age 14 at a hospital appointment that I could not get pregnant. Now, that didn't really bother me at that point, you know. That didn't affect me until my last year of high school when I was 16. That's the time when I started thinking, like, what if I want to be a mum? What if I want kids at some point? Though there are positives and negatives to me potentially giving birth and even having a child. I would love to have a little girl, but there is a 50-50 chance that I would not survive surgery, and if I somehow did, I would need a C-section, which is where they cut your belly open to remove the baby. And there is also a 50-50 chance that I might have twins. And there's also a high possibility that my child or children might have epilepsy or skeletal dysplasia. Worst scenario, what if I have twins and both of them have epilepsy and disability and they're both female? That's a huge thing to put on someone's plate. The thought of any of my children or me potentially being a mum and having a child that has a disability, I don't think I could handle that. And see my child go through what I've been through. When I was 14 or 15 and when I had a nervous breakdown, looking back, I don't blame myself. I don't want things to be perfect. But when I was a teenager, I didn't get an option as to what I could choose. I can't wear anything that has a defined waist, whether it's a dress. I can't wear jeans. I was told I can't wear high heels. Not gonna lie, a thing that I hated in high school was people would pity me for being disabled. I remember one time in a classroom, the teacher put all our names on paper, put them in a hat, and someone picked out my name. And then half of the class went, "Oh, that's tight, that." Oh, I'm only answering a question. I hated people giving me the sympathy card. The way I see it, I've got a loving family, I've got shelter, food, friends, all of the necessities of life. So why are you pitying me? I hate that, of all things. Just sure, I have learning difficulties still, but I don't have epilepsy. There's positives and negatives to life. I always felt ashamed. I don't know why. I felt ashamed for having something I couldn't control, but I always did, and I didn't like it. I remember seeing a video recording of me in drama class, the way I walked, because our teacher had to record our performance. I saw the way I walked in the video and I hated it. Now and then I get people calling me freak or just staring at me or whispering about me. I didn't start developing an attitude or, you know, getting in people's faces and that and standing up for myself until, you know, halfway after year 9. People in high school describe me in 3 words: short, cute, and quiet. I can't stress that enough. I was so quiet, I ended up getting put into a group session, not even a classroom, a group session in a sixth form room. A sixth form is basically a college that was next to my school. I got put in there just for like 2 hours, and this African American black woman walks in, and she looked like a model. She looked stunning. She had on bright red lipstick, short hair, she had a white top, white high heel shoes. She had a bright red leopard print like blazer and matching pants. She was the shit. She looked amazing. I don't know why her image is so vividly in my head, but it is. And if I saw her today, I would thank her because she changed my life. I know that sounds cheesy and cliche. Half of the people in this group session were my friends, classmates, people that I knew, but I still wasn't saying a word. I didn't like it. I didn't want to feel like I was being forced to talk. I'll talk when I'm ready, thanks. During this group session, the lady in this group session that I described earlier, she was like a motivational speaker or a speech therapist of some kind. The woman, she ended up coming to the back of my table. One of my classmates was sat next to me and she said to me, How come you haven't wrote anything on your paper? We had to write how we were feeling on this paper and any thoughts we had. I didn't write a thing on the paper. I didn't want to. I didn't want to be there. In my mind, what was anyone in this classroom going to do for me? Around my friends, I was normal. I was talkative, but I wasn't really cooperating in class. I wasn't putting any input most of the time, and that was what was concerning teachers. They went as far as to call my mum, arrange a meeting, and be like, "Hey, what's wrong with your daughter? She ain't talking." But yeah, I was really shy, but clearly I'm not anymore. You know, I got confidence and shit. Not even kidding, this woman walked over to my table. She asked my friend to move tables so that she could sit next to me. And I'm just rolling my eyes. I'm like, yeah, what are you going to do for me, lady? I have nothing to say. There's no point in sitting next to me and trying to get me to talk. Like a therapist, she asked me, what are you feeling right now? And I just said, shame. And she said, why? And I said, because of how I am. She said, why should you feel shame? You are a strong, beautiful, independent woman. Those 3 words, that really made my day. You know, the fact that I'm getting a compliment, I don't know why it made such a difference getting a compliment from a complete stranger. When your parents give you a compliment, you think, oh, thanks, I'm their kid, they're always going to compliment me. But when it's coming from a complete stranger, it means something different. And that really helped me with my confidence and whatnot. She just said what she needed to say and walked away. I'm sat at this table thinking, what am I doing with my life? After that point, which I'm sure was around like year 9, after speaking to that woman, it flipped. I got sick of people's shit, I developed an attitude, I was more confident. Anyone watching this who's been bullied, you could be a normal person watching this, you could have a learning difficulty, you could be disabled. I just want you to know, you are probably sexy bitches, okay? You are just stunning. Like I said before, I have a problem expressing the lovey-dovey side of me. After speaking to that woman and getting the right support with my family and my friends, it's kind of helped me build confidence. And also I feel like I need to drink a bottle of wine after filming this, because it's a lot, okay? Where I currently live now, I moved into this house when I was 15. I have a mobility car. I have a downstairs toilet that was fitted for me, a ramp leading into my house, a mobility car, a stair lift. All of these things help me in my life, and without them I would seriously struggle. Side note, throughout this entire video, if you have seen this on my arm, don't worry, it's only a 2nd-degree burn. I'm not gonna lie, I'm in agony. It's healing, but I've had this on my arm for about a week. How did it happen, you ask? I burned my arm on a baking tray while making dinner, if you believe it. This has been a really difficult video to film. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care, bye.